The DA wants the Auditor General to investigate funds claimed for trips by former Water and Sanitation Minister Lindiwe Sisulu's aides. The country's official opposition claims Sisulu's former top aide, Mphumzi Mdekazi, has single-handedly claimed more than 1.7 million rand in travel expenses since May of 2019. Let's talk about this with DA member responsible for human settlements, Emma Powell, who's joining us live this afternoon. Emma, very good afternoon to you. Grateful for your time. Is it your position that you don't believe that this 1.7 million odd was spent on travel and accommodation?
Hi there, thanks for having me. Well, we're not going to make any remarks in terms of whether or not this was or was not used for travel. Our concern at this time is this gratuitous and exceptionally high travel bill of 1.7 million rand, obviously in the context of the economic situation of South Africa, and furthermore that the members of this so-called Water Services Advisory Committee, which was established in terms of the Water Services Act, were not properly qualified to serve as advisors. So there's a whole bunch of problems with this Water Services Advisory Committee, and the 1.7 million rand travel claim for just one of their committee members is the primary issue at hand.
And this all came from, of course, the usual revelations that come through questions sent by parties to various ministries, right? But how clear are the calculations around these sums provided to you in this reply?
So, as many of your listeners would be aware, members of Parliament are able to submit up to 3 questions a week, and ministers are expected to respond to these questions within a 10-day time frame. Now, I submitted questions specifically on this advisory committee members' travel costs after receiving certain information from a whistleblower, but I also submitted questions on the ex-ministers to National Rapid Response task teams. And the minister didn't respond to these questions while she was responsible for the 2 departments of Water and Sanitation and Human Settlements. And it's been quite heartening for me to note that since the new Minister for Water and Sanitation, Mr. Mphumzi Mdekazi, has come in, and the new Minister for Human Settlements, Minister Kubai, have come in, we're starting to see some of these questions responses flowing. And it was therefore on Tuesday night that Minister Mphumzi Mdekazi responded to the specific question regarding Mr. Mdekazi, and it is indicated very clearly in the parliamentary question reply, which is obviously attached to the media statements that we've sent out, that this 1.7 million rand was specifically for 3 cost items, and that was flights, accommodation and car rental invoices. So we obviously rely on the information provided to us by ministers, and as you would know, it is a criminal offence to mislead Parliament.
And you now want, of course, the Auditor General to investigate. To what end? What are you hoping the Auditor General will find?
Well, we're requesting 3 things at present. So we have submitted further questions in terms of understanding what the other 4 members that served alongside this particular aide have claimed. We have received responses in terms of what the National Rapid Response Task Team for Water and Sanitation has claimed. Their costs for the same period, just the one task team, are currently sitting at 3.7 million rand just for travel, laundry services and accommodation. And so the remedial steps that the Democratic Alliance has taken is we've written to the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Mphumzi Mdekazi, asking that he immediately disband this advisory committee, because we know that the members of this committee don't have the requisite qualifications to advise in terms of the ambit of the Water Services Act. We've also asked that the minister initiate a full departmental investigation into this fat cat travel bill. Then we've submitted a promotion of access to information request, which will legally compel the Department of Water and Sanitation to provide every last invoice so we can see the hotels, what types of cars were being hired, what work was being done against these expenses. So that promotion of access to information response should come back to us within 30 days. And once we've got that information, we will then refer it to the Auditor General, and the Auditor General will then investigate for fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and should there be findings of irregularity or suspected malfeasance, we we will then refer this to law enforcement agencies.
And as far as the dissolution of the rapid response task teams, you've got, as you said, 2 new ministers in place since human settlements and water were split up as ministries. You've got Senzo Mchunu responsible for the other portfolio and Mamoloko Kubai for the other. How responsive have they been to that particular call?
Well, we know the DA obviously raised a red flag on the establishment of these 2 national rapid response task teams back in 2019, and that was after we were provided with the names via a parliamentary question that Minister Sisulu subsequently withdrew. And we know that many of those members are individuals with very strong political links to the ANC and to various other organizations such as the Roads Must Fall movement. We had an ex-PAC leader, an ex-COPE regional leader. So we raised a red flag in terms of their fit for purpose, in terms of human settlements and water-related issues. I certainly have spoken to officials on the ground who've given me anecdotal accounts of the NRRTT in certain instances having actually created additional levels of bureaucracy and what they have sort of referred to as interference. I can't speak to whether or not the NRRTT has been effective perhaps in certain isolated situations, but generally by and large it's very clear just from a cursory reading of the names of these members. I'll give you an example. Xolile Burns and Gamashi, for example, a member of the Water Services National Rapid Response Task Team for a long time, claimed 306,000 Rand against accommodation and domestic air travel and car hire. He's now just been made a member of Parliament by the ANC. He was also the deputy chairperson of the House of Traditional Leaders. Chumani Maxwali claimed 335,000 Rand on car hire and accommodation. Roads Must Fall leader. So we haven't had responses on the human settlements in our RTT costs yet, but I'm sure that Minister Kabayi will send those through shortly. So from the information that I have at hand, the general feeling about these task teams from people on the ground is that they haven't necessarily added value that is concomitant to the 16 million Rand that they cost the taxpayer every year.
So good to speak to you, Emma Powell, DA member responsible for human settlements in Parliament. Great to have your time today.